Hi, Christian.
Hello, nice to see you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm good.
We are in Isola capital. It's a bit of a man cave, I would say.
Very cool.
Yeah, very chill. Very manly, as I said.
Feel comfortable here.
Yeah, not bad. So, Christian, you were born in Hong Kong, actually.
I was, yeah.
And you lived in France, in Europe, and then you came back to Hong Kong 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're the founder of Treehouse, plant-based dining in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Is it a good description, or?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
So far, so good.
And you are the co-founder of formerly Mana as well.
Yeah, that was my first business in Hong Kong, Mana Fast Slow Food.
Okay. That got acquired in 2015.
Well, no, I left the company in
Okay.
2015, sold my shares to someone else, and I had a business partner at the time, so we split, and then I went on to build my own other restaurants.
Okay. And you're also a former athlete.
Yeah.
And a firm believer of the role of food in health, and the role of nutrition. You have a holistic vision of health and nutrition. My first question, and you not aware of the questions.
No.
So I like that. I think I would prefer that with other guests, but if they hear me, what's your definition of success?
Oh, that's a very interesting first question.
We go deep.
Yeah, good. I prefer that. I think my definition of success has actually changed quite a bit along the years. So I think I'll go with how I see it now. I think the definition of success starts with me. So first is, how am I living the life that I want in alignment with myself and my needs? That's the first real pillar, I think, to be successful, is how am I living this life? How am I sleeping? How am I interacting with my relationships? How am I in relationship to my trauma? Have I been able to deal with enough things for me to be able to deal with the things that I need to do in the professional life and any other life outside of myself? Am I doing enough of the work that I need to be able to show up in a true, authentic manner for the other things that I'm trying to build? Because I think they really extend to everything. There's often that line that is like, it's just business, or it's not personal. And I don't believe in that. Everything that I've done in business has been an extension of me, even though that when I create something, it's no longer mine. It's out in the public. It's the judgment of others. It's the staff making the food and so on. But there's always this notion of integrity that you need to have with yourself to know what are your true boundaries. And once you know yourself, you really are able to move in a way that is in alignment, whether it's your career, whether it's in a relationship with someone, whether it's, anything. So I think...
But how do you it's a really interesting question, because I'm rewatching Suits.
Yeah, nice.
There's a connection with what you just said.
Okay.
Wait for it. And in this series, so for the people who haven't watched it, it's about business lawyers in New York, so very business oriented. And actually they try to dissociate personal relationships and business relationships. And I love this series. It's just, I think it's smart and it's easy to watch. But also I'm questioning, can you really set aside the personal stuff? Because, for example, if you have a colleague that is also a friend, you really like that person, truly, you spend good times with them when you're out of work. But if that person at work is like doing something and I don't know, very disappointing, or the other way around, maybe she or he betrayed you outside of work, can you really be his teammate again?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it has to be an alignment. I think that paradigm of it's just business is where we are with the planet now, where we are with so many problems that are much bigger than us, is the ability to ignore the side effect of any business that is being created. And I think to not see anything in a holistic or, whole manner in anything is a detriment. So I think it relates to that. It's like, it's just an excuse to be able to be, cold and capitalist only.
Yeah. Okay, so for you, success is being aligned with who you are and what you do.
Exactly, and to continually discover me. For me, this highest attainment of this life is this human experience. I'm living as this Christian character, and I want to be the closest to my full realization. Then money and anything else is just a tool for me to get to that, and nothing is kept. Everything acquired is given away.
Okay.
So it's never really yours. You're only borrowing things. So ultimately, the only thing you hold is your own human experience. What you decide to build for yourself.
You say this life because, so I guess this leads to spirituality. You think we have another life or had different lives?
Maybe, not as Christian, but I think as human, and we have ancestor, I'm the living bloodline of anyone else before me. So there's been this fragile balance for them to survive, to thrive, to have careers, to be able to make it that I'm alive. So that whole living manifestation of my ancestors living through my bloodline, literally. So we don't even need to go to like spirituality, Buddhism, reincarnation, or anything like this. Those are nice ideas. I don't really need to get like so in detail, but I kind of like to pick and choose concepts I like. But I do think that we are the living manifestation of everyone that was there before. So then again, we're not just one life in that sense.
And I guess if you think like that, probably you respect your body way more.
Yeah, I think it makes that destructive side that I think a lot of people have a little bit less strong within me. But again, you have to listen to it as well.
Okay.
Because if not, it comes back.
Yeah. So business-wise, you just said that your first business was Mana, M-A-N-A, Mana. Where does that come from?
So Mana, originally the name Mana is bread of life, bread, the source. It's a very powerful old word, very ancient word that meant, the bread from life. Life force. If you play like Diablo, it's like the special blue magic that gives you.
You can play powers. Diablo in this man cave, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I think you can do anything. So that's what it meant. And then our slogan was fast, slow food. So when I first came to Hong Kong as someone I was already into healthy eating, that kind of stuff, I saw that there was a gap in the market, and I started looking around, didn't see anything that was similar to what I wanted to do, and then managed to kind of put it together and build my first business from there. And
when you quit, when you sold your shares and you started, and then soon after you founded Treehouse?
No, so there was I did 4.5 years that first business. We built to 4 locations. And then there was a conflicting of vision between me and my partner, so I decided to exit and build my own concept with investors. I built this place called Home Eat to Live, which was a very grand 3,000 square foot vegetarian restaurant. We made everything from scratch. It was a really nice place. I dealt with some rougher side of the business with a very intense investors that wanted to control me a certain way, and I refused, and so that pushed us to close the restaurant, even though it was quite successful. And then I went to Portugal to open a franchise of a similar business, and then finally came back to Hong Kong now about 6 years ago to build Treehouse. So we opened our first one in 2019. Great timing. In the middle of the protest, and then followed on to the COVID. So definitely been challenged.
What a journey. Okay, so there were a few more steps between Mana and Treehouse. But with Treehouse, I guess in the previous experiences you learned, every time you learned something, and you learn about people and about yourself and about business. But what was it when you founded Treehouse that was different? I guess it's a different business, yes, but Was there something, an objective that you wanted to reach, or a vision that you didn't have in your former businesses?
So I think that was the first time that I was always the lead employee and an investor or shareholder, but this was the first time I was not only the majority shareholder, controlling shareholder, and CEO, whatever you want to call it, like the guy in charge.
Okay.
So that was the first time that I was really in all aspect of responsibility. So I think that was the final sort of thing I needed to learn from starting really green and out of cooking school to building the companies and working with different partners, to then having investors finance me, to finally, investing mostly myself with much smaller investors, and realizing the impact of that, the responsibility of that, and the pain of it when things like COVID and all this restriction and basically all this economy downturn, and you feel kind of alone in those moments, and see how hard it is to survive without the help of a big restaurant group or big financial institution to support you. We're very much like a kind of family style restaurant, and to survive in this economy without that is
tough.
It's tough, but we're still here, so we're fortunate about that.
Yeah, so you experienced, working with a co-founder, with investors. Would you work again with a co-founder? I'm asking that because a lot of business owners I have in this podcast, and I kind of also share this view, is that most of them advise, don't do it alone.
Yeah. Oh, really? I love alone because it's full responsibility, and I think that's the only way that it gets me fully out of bed and to do anything, because money is not something that's going to get me out of bed. It's more like my duty towards my employees, my duties towards the people that are relying on me, customers, so on, like the mission. And I think having a partner is good, and I really treat some of my employees like partners, but I do think you need one clear voice and one clear leader to be effective and not to get so for me, I might have business partners in other style of ventures, but in restaurant business I don't think that I would need so much.
And do you think it's more because it's more responsibility, so it's more freedom, to make decisions?
Yes.
But it's also maybe more stress.
Well, again, if you manage yourself well, stress is not so present, I find, because everything happens, right? There's always problems and so on. So if you manage yourself first, then the stress doesn't need to be carried forward, and especially it shouldn't never be carried forward to your team. That's something I never do, is to take it down the chain. So I need to manage myself first, so then I can be present to their stress or their suffering or whatever they're going through.
But how do you do that? Because it's
morning practice and just being, consistent.
Because it's difficult to do.
Yeah,
that,
it's very difficult,
right?
It's difficult, but then when you don't make it an option, it becomes easy. Like I work out every single day. This is not an option. I just do it, and then I do other things that are part of that morning routine. I just do them. Some days I desperately don't want to do it. But then I do it and I always feel better. And then when I do it, I feel like I can show up to whatever my life has, not in a catch-up or reactive manner, but more in a proactive manner, rather than just getting out of bed, not, kind of just trying to catch up the day and always feeling like behind.
I love that idea of it's not an option, because also it's as a business owner, you need to have discipline. Yeah. And as a former athlete, I guess you also have this discipline. I work out like 4 or 5 times a week. I'm not an athlete, but I think for a normal person, it's okay.
That's a lot already.
And many people ask me, but how do you get the motivation? I'm like, it's not even a matter of motivation, guys.
It's not even a question.
Because if it's a matter of motivation, I would just play on my phone and do nothing and scroll forever or watch Suits every day or whatever, It's a matter of discipline, and so many days I tell my friend I don't want to go, but what I'm going to do, just go.
Exactly.
You know?
There's no option. You just go. Like
Yeah. Okay, so quick break. I have fireside questions for you.
All right.
What's the super ingredient you love?
I guess right now is egg. Egg is just the thing I eat the most, actually.
Yeah. How many eggs every day?
6 days a day.
Oh,
6
wow.
eggs a day.
Okay.
Organic, free range.
Your favorite place in the world?
I love Hong Kong. I really like Lama. I live on Lama. But my favorite place in the world, I think, would be my childhood home that I still have in the suburb of Paris. It's just is this mental, it's this like plug to the world where I kind of travel, live different places, but there I can go back. And I remember it since I was 4, so it's the most continuity I have to a place. So I think that would be my favorite place.
Okay. Something you stopped eating.
Oh, so many things.
Okay, if there was one thing.
Well, the thing I still struggle and try to stop eating is sugar. It's ubiquitous. It's in everything. For me, it's the drug that made it. It's in everything. People don't realize they're all addicted. It's in sauces, mustard, in
Bread.
everything. Bread, you name it, it's in there. And I still struggle because I still believe that that's one of the biggest source of disease. They're calling it diabetes 3.0 now, because they're saying, you have diabetes, which is sugar related, but now they're saying to the brain is also coming from sugar. It's just a different manifestation of sugar inflammation in your body. So it just seems like sugar is just not something needed. But again, it's something that it's such. Like my addiction came from, as a child, cereal. Growing up in France, having cereal was my big...
it's rooted.
It's so rooted, and then it's emotional. And you can see the eating patterns of people here also, or in general. What does well, what sells well is sugar. It's sugar, flour, dough, whatever it is, but it's quick gratification. So I feel good while I'm eating it, but as soon as I experience it, then I feel the low, and then my workouts suffer. And so I can promise you, if I have sugar the next day, that's when I'm struggling to get into my workout.
A cuisine that you particularly like?
Italian food.
Italian food. Yes.
For me, it's just the lifestyle, the way they eat it, and the quality. It's just And as a mostly vegetarian person, I find such happiness in that food.
Yeah, I agree. And last question: one single piece of advice to remember when it comes to nutrition?
Read your labels, read the ingredients. Like if you shop anywhere, read the labels, understand them. If you don't understand something, go look up at that word. Like now it's so simple. Take a photo with AI, just ask them to describe the side effects of everything. Just have awareness. Labels are there to guide you. And I think that's the number one thing. And then when you go to a restaurant, see if they're making their food from scratch or just using some stuff from supermarket that has those ingredients in it. So for me, that would be a big, huge thing to change.
We'll remember that. And I would even add, take a look as well at the labels on the cosmetics you use.
Oh my God. I stopped cosmetics since I was 23. I never wore perfume, deodorant, any sort of fragrance, because my mom died of cancer, and that's when I saw all the research on all that stuff, and I was like, it's insane. This is a permeous surface, so everything we put in is going inside. So it's that's a huge thing. And there's a great app that is I don't remember, Dirty, I think it's called, or Think Dirty, or it's basically, it gives you a rating for all the cosmetics. So if you type Dove, for example, you'll see what's inside and how much cancer, it's on a scale of green, red, blah, blah, blah. And you really see the source of where it's coming from, the source, and you can really see what you're putting in your body, what you're putting on your lips. There's so much cadmium, for example, in women's lipstick, and
shampoo and all this.
And fragrance is proven to give cancer, fragrance, the smell. If it's not from essential oil, it's not good for you.
I heard that scented candles.
Oh, that's horrible.
It's super bad. But
except if you have very high grade soy with essential oil. But as soon as you have fragrance, it's not good for you.
Because I had on the podcast, I had the founder of a skincare brand called Mono Skincare. Maybe you've heard of it. And it's really, she's done some research on this and she found the same as you. So it took her like 2-3 years to find a lab that was okay to develop what she wanted with active ingredients, but all clean, everything. So congrats to her.
If she did the research and thing, I'm sure she created a product that is nice.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about stress and how to handle difficult times. And you mentioned the protests and COVID.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate difficult times? I guess there's not a one way to do it, but with the market shrinking, the economic crisis post-COVID, and also we talked a little bit about that, but also the trends. Well, I guess plant-based is not just a trend, it's really something for your health, but on social media it was like a trend. It was trending, yeah. And now it's still a trend, but maybe not as big as before. So how do you handle that?
Yeah, it's difficult because it's patience, and you think that you were getting out of something, like getting out of COVID, getting out of protests, or different things, where actually in relationship was not so bad. The worst has been actually reopening of Hong Kong and the lack thereof of how it reopened, and also as you said, the shrinking market, where our competition started dying off and closing, which is not a good sign. It's like we did not recuperate from that. We just saw that the market was shrinking. That's been very difficult. And also a lot of our customers leaving. So I think we have to continually having to reinvent ourselves. We're really all dual language now. We're doing Chinese mainland social media. We're really trying to push as much to adapt to the new Hong Kong and how we're seeing it evolve. But it's been quite difficult to continually, with limited resources, with limited, we just came out of this massive battle. We don't have the resources to do any crazy things. But then we're continually having to educate people, because our concept is not necessarily so straightforward, in the sense that we're having to always educate people on why we do it, why is it different, what is the quality, what makes us special, blah, blah, like what are our sustainable practice, why is our price point the way it is, and so on. So that's that continual grind, and also even the change of press landscape. We used to have a lot of attention because of what we did. Our story was powerful. Now there's no interest. If you don't have a PR that hashes out your words and tell that publication to say it, there's no more sort of honest, the journalists used to come. I haven't seen one since after COVID that was not referred or acted for a relational thing. So even press has changed, the stories have changed, and the interest in green, sustainable, blah, blah, is all-time low for me. And we tried to do this research in how much is our sustainability aspect worth or guiding any consumer behavior. We found that it's zero. It's literally zero. No one actually cares to make a purchase based on that. It's price point, it's value based, it's good for you. That's something that we'll care about. It's
emotional.
Exactly. But then it doesn't really go beyond that. But then we keep it because it's our own integrity. It's how we want to do business. But we're not doing it as a marketing gimmick or anything like that, because it's not even adding value to our concept. It's really, we have this integrity. We want to show up like this. So that's a bit difficult, because we feel a little bit more transparent, and we feel like what is doing good is more like the food that is creating inflammation rather than giving life to people.
But what do journalists are looking for then? What's the interest?
Their team, what I've been told is their team has gone down, their budgets have gone down, and now they just work with PRs that invite them in certain places, and it's just a much less, like they don't have the time to kind of seek and share the story. And also they've covered us a lot in the past, but there doesn't seem to be too much talks on sustainability, on green and this and that. Like there was this kind of peak of influx during COVID, and then it's been going down, and I haven't seen anyone sort of or anything kind of re-pick up those stories, or not even us, but just in general. Like
also with the times we're living in, I guess I'm so curious to see, like in the far future, how this period of time will be studied at school. You know, like the super dark times, because like economically, politically, we just talked about it before. It's crazy. So do you think also people are, as they're all addicted to sugar for sure, but it's not new, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But as the times are pretty tough, does it have an influence on the way they eat?
100%. You have a bad day at work, have a cookie. Your boss is mean to you, have a cookie. You're not happy in your relationship, have a cookie, or whatever it is, your cookie.
Or drinks, or which is the same.
Or drinks, drinks is even worse. Things like that. So it's short-term pleasure based, and it's no longer I'm gonna invest for tomorrow. And it's something that doesn't kill you today is not gonna make you react. You know, you can eat super processed food. You might feel a bit indigestion. You might have a little bit bloating, but it's not going to kill you. So now, but how can people project themselves when they're stuck thinking everything is bad? But the problem, if you listen to the noise around, yes, the story is consistently telling us is bad. But is it that bad? I'm still able to live my day to day. I can do my workout. I can have a nice meal. I still have my restaurant.
Like short-term thinking.
Exactly. You can still be in your thing and be like, is something really happening to me? No, I'm still living a really good life. What are the actual things that are happening to me that are that horrible? They're infinitely small, and you deal with them well when they come. So it's also we're consistently being fed, this thing happened all over on the other side of the world. Do you need to know that this happened? A few people died there because that happened. Again, we need to go back to local, where we are, what is our environment, and deal with what's in front of us, and not just the stories that we build ourselves.
I think I hope it's a cycle, and that as we're out of COVID and a lot of things happened, a lot of people lost their jobs, and it was today's problem, like I don't have any money, I no longer have a job, etc. And now they're trying to recover from that. So maybe then they will have more mental space to think forward and not just for today, I hope.
But that's why if you go back to personal power, personal cultivation, you beat all of it, because you are building yourself as a resilient tool versus being a reactive tool to whatever the environment is giving you.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're just floating in the wind. And of course, governments or entities or whatever it is that is giving us this information of everything that is happening is dividing us, which is keeping us stressed, hence not in alignment with ourselves.
Yeah. Tell me about a time you were wrong. How did you feel? What were you wrong about?
I've been wrong many times. It's just part of doing something that you don't know, because being an entrepreneur in general is like you don't have all the answers ever, and you're just leaping forward and be like, I'm gonna figure it out as I go. But a specific example, I think I was wrong with this last location that we opened with Treehouse in this new area in Kaitak, and I didn't want to do it, but I did it for certain reasons that I still honor, but I did it against my own
gut feeling.
Yeah, gut feeling. And then we closed. I closed it 10 months later. I actually closed it and called it off and just fixed my mistake. But that was a big mistake, I think, because I did it for other reasons than my own intuitive thought, and I'll never do that again. Yeah,
lesson learned. You will never do that again.
No, that was a deep. I've never closed a restaurant this fast and this. But again, it was my choice because I wanted to cut the losses. But that was quite a very serious lesson.
And another Another show I watched on Netflix. I also do some like other things than watching TV. For example, I record podcasts.
Yeah.
Oh, I go to the gym. No, you know a bit more about myself. No, but it has a connection with what we were talking about. Maybe you've watched Apple Cider Vinegar.
Yeah, I think I saw like the first episode or something. Yeah.
So for the listeners, it's a show that is based on a true story of an influencer on Instagram that pretended she had cancer, and that she wanted to promote a healthy nutrition that could cure cancer, basically. Which, and in the end, she didn't have cancer at all, but a lot of women who had cancer followed her advice, and actually it was pretty dangerous because that woman was not a doctor.
Yeah,
she was just someone.
She was misguiding.
Yeah, so pretty dangerous. But the show is well done, and she didn't get any money from the show. They mentioned that.
That's good.
But I thought it got me thinking. On one hand, I think people kind of, they trust less the scientists and doctors and just science in general. More and more people, believe in the conspiracy and all of that. And I guess Donald Trump is not helping on that side.
No.
But so I think it's pretty harmful to a society, because at the end of the day, we have scientists that really work on this, and we really need their work, and it's supposed to be unbiased. It's just science, but on the other hand, I'm also kind of skeptical about the food industry, the ultra processed food and all of that. And I'm sure that I don't think eating healthy will cure your cancer, but it will maybe avoid.
It will prevent your cancer. It will not.
It's more preventive than curative.
Exactly.
So I don't know. It's not really a question, but it's just that a thought, like about also Western medicine, for example. Now that I live in Hong Kong, I can see that Chinese medicine is, wow, there is so much to learn from.
Very interesting.
And a lot of preventive also medicine. So how do you balance all of that, and how do you train your critical mind?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you touched on a lot of things here.
Yeah, it was quite loaded.
No, but that's fine, because I do have a strong opinion on that, in the sense that through, again, my mom's illness, I followed with oncologists. I really dived deep into the medical system. I know doctors, friends that are doctors. I asked them the question, how long did you study nutrition? How much do you know? Like, I really dived in what it means to be a doctor, per se. And after science in general, I think I do a lot of tests on myself, blood tests, stool tests, everything, to get data. I don't necessarily act based on what they tell me. I believe the healer is me. Anyone is going to be sick. If I'm sick, I'm going to heal myself. It's not the others people around me that are going to do it. They're here to help me. As soon as you go to a doctor, hey, what's wrong with me? You're outsourcing your health, so you're outsourcing your power. You have to find and use science, doctors, for your benefit, to get information, to hopefully change behaviors and do changes that can be just lifestyle change, food change, that kind of eating, whatever, working out or other things, before you need to go to symptom-focused science. Because my issue with Western medicine is that it never deals with the whole person. Yeah. When a doctor one day will ask me, how are you? What is your relationship? Do you have a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever? How is your relationship to your parents, to your mom, to your dad? Yeah. Then I'm going to get interested, because that person wants to heal me or wants to understand my wholeness.
Not just stop the symptom.
Exactly, because if I have something showing up, something is just a manifestation of what's happening in me. The physical body is a representation of the emotional body, and is coming out for a reason. because you're not expressing it, you're not dealing with that trauma. So again, going back to dealing with yourself and where you come from, what are your issues, what were your sets of realities that are painful for you, you need to address them so they don't get stuck in your system. You talked about Chinese medicine. I think it's much more interesting because it's so rooted, one, on the human for much longer. It has a lot more history than Western medicine. Western medicine comes from like the World War One, World War Two, and so on. This is like 2,000-3,000 years old. They test your pulse. They see your overall, humidity or whatever. Like they really are more caring about the person, and also they use natural remedies to address certain things. And I love acupuncture, I love cupping, I love all these tools. Are my first tools. So I actually love Chinese medicine because I believe it in more, and I find it more holistic for me. Again, I don't have anything essentially wrong with Western medicine other than the fact that they focus only on the symptoms. And I use it as a tool of information, but I often don't follow their advice. I just use this as a tool, and then I find a natural treatment because they're not allowed to tell me. I know this great heart surgeon, he's one of the very good ones in the US. He cannot tell his clients to eat healthy as a cure. He's not allowed. Like their hands are tied for so many things that I think, again, you have to use science, you have to use this, but also you have to leave a little bit of magic, because we don't know anything. We don't know everything, right? So science is great because this is what you can prove, but there's so much that is not conspiracy level, but on a magical level of, the construct of life that we don't know, right? It's after when you look at the quantum world, it interacts in a whole different manner. So there's a lot of things we don't know. Yeah. So I think living that space also is a way that, you can activate your own healing powers to be able to resolve whatever is in front of you or what you're dealing with.
I would say that, I'm seeing a therapist, and she solved some physical symptoms I had because actually, it was like subconscious.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of time, not every time, but a lot of many times it's just that also you kept like traumas, unresolved things, and I felt it. I felt that then. When it was out, like my body was like, yes, you got the message finally. It took some time, but you got it.
Here's a new layer.
And then you feel, but you really feel better. You feel like, I felt like I was aligned, mind, body, I was aligned, and and I felt good.
That's a great feeling.
But it takes time. It's not just one session, but it's, I think it's all about a balance between, of course, have a healthy lifestyle, as healthy as possible, but also when you're really physically ill, you need to see a doctor. I mean,
you need
a good doctor.
You need information, we all need that.
I have 2 more questions for you. What's the next thing for you on your list, either professionally or personally or both?
So professionally, we are trying to expand out of Hong Kong.
Where to?
We're looking at Thailand and Singapore as our main markets. It just makes a lot of sense we want to stay in Asia because we want to keep our Hong Kong operations, but also we want to expand in markets where we see the demand and the growth of our competitors is much better than even in Hong Kong. So we think those markets are very interesting. So we're starting to bridge those connections. So that's kind of where we want to take Treehouse, and after hopefully in the coming years we want to go back to France and America. From me being from there, I would love to, and I also know that there's much more demand there and so on and so forth, but we want to keep this as a Hong Kong brand that is expanding back to the West in a way, but first we want to expand here in APAC. So that's the real sort of
exciting.
Focus,
exciting.
We're excited about it.
And do you have any personal milestone
My personal milestone is always just I'm about to turn 40. I'm just trying to take it, like I'm still trying to shed some stuff that I've been carrying with me. I'm still trying to go deeper into my practice, and yeah, if I'm doing things like therapy and other tools to be able to find the strength to.
It's a lifelong
exactly.
journey.
It's never ending. If it ends, then it's
you're dying.
You're pretty much not alive
you're
if you're not in that process of self-discovery. But personally, I'm really into real estate, so that's like where I want my life to kind of go. Because I built a house a few years ago, and I just fell in love with that process, and so I love that.
Okay.
That's the tangible, because I love building. That's what I realized, and that building so many restaurants has been very, very powerful for me. But now homes is another thing, because I'm a very homey person. I stay home a lot. And so I love like creating surrounding and make it really in tune with myself. So that's something that I'm starting to develop in France as well.
Now the last question is the signature question. I ask it to all my guests. Do you have any lessons that you learned as a business owner that you would like to share with fellow business owners or future business owners?
I think just in business, it's all about action. So it's just, stop trying to create the perfect business plan, the perfect idea, blah, blah, and just go and start doing it. And that's when things get figured out. Because I feel like I'm always in talks with different people that want to start a business. They reach out to me, they want to do this and that. And ultimately, it's like as much as they want to prepare for that moment, of
never
the
ready.
Things you cannot prepare, might as well just jump, not be so sure, and then you figure it out, and then you build that own resilience and personal power. So I think believing in yourself enough and your intuition, and I think intuition is also a big thing, because again, business is not always like you don't really tie in intuition or this or that. But for me, most of the things I've done, it was because I felt it in my heart first. Like Treehouse, the first location I walked in, I was like, this is the place. I didn't know exactly why. I didn't know this, but I just knew. So to trust that side of yourself makes you very, very effective for what you want to do, because hopefully that's the connection to your higher self or your higher intelligence. So believing that intuitive voice and taking action for me would be my
that's your
my
American
advice.
Side, take action. Just do it.
Well, because the French side is like, don't fail, don't try.
It's like think.
Exactly.
Americans
There's a stigma. While here it's like, you fail, whatever, just do it
whatever.
again.
It's not a shame.
I've closed a bunch of restaurants too.
Lately, I wonder a lot, and there is a lot going on in my head every day, every hour of the day. But I wanted to know the difference, maybe you know it, between instinct and intuition.
Instinct and intuition. Well,
interesting, right?
Yeah, I've never thought about it.
So I'm here to ask you the question.
That's the good thing about not being prepared. Instinct and intuition. Instinct for me feels more of a primal reaction, like for safety related for some reason. Like my instinct will protect me, while my intuition will take me a little bit higher. So I will be able to, like, my intuition is almost like I'm seeing a road, but my intuition can see above the ups and valleys of what I'm able to see, and my instinct might give me that, there's a snake on the way, be careful. So that's how I define it, but I don't assume to know.
I think it's but actually I checked then, and because I had the same reasoning, and this is exactly what it is.
Oh, cool.
Like, instinct is really, animal.
Yeah, it's
like
you walk into a place
survival
and you feel
instinct
off or something.
Yeah, like you feel danger. It's we're animals after all.
We are.
So this is for survival. But intuition, I explained it as the sum of your experiences, and then it's you build all your experiences build your intelligence.
Exactly.
And then that this idea is not a good idea because
for you, right? Because it's
for you.
Your intuition.
It's very personal.
Yeah, exactly. That's
super
the beauty
personal.
Of it.
You can't have an intuition for someone else.
Exactly right.
But I thought it was a good
That's a very
conclusion.
Interesting question. Thank you for asking.
Cool. Well, I hope you didn't answer the same things to all the other interviews.
I did not know.
But thank you for your time. I think
you
it
so
was
much for having me. I appreciate it.
it was really insightful and very. I love deep talks, so I think I had what I wanted.
Good.
Thank you very much, Christian.
Thank you so much.